Today, something happened in space that should have been impossible. An object from far beyond our solar system didn't just pass through, it split itself in half. One side disappeared completely, and the other half, it's sending direct signals toward Earth. Scientists are calling it the most chilling discovery in human history. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why some researchers now believe 3I Atlas might not just be a comet, but something alive. Stick around, because what happened next will absolutely blow your mind. Before we dive in, if you're fascinated by space mysteries and the hunt for the unknown, tap that like button. It tells YouTube and the universe that you're one of the curious ones keeping the search for answers alive. And hey, comment where you're watching from. I want to see which parts of the world are witnessing this moment together. For over 4 decades, I've studied the laws of the universe, gravity, quantum mechanics, space-time itself. I thought I'd seen everything space could throw at us. But what happened just 11 hours ago with 3I Atlas has shaken every scientific law we thought was absolute. This object didn't explode, it didn't crumble, it split perfectly, clean, surgical, geometric. 2 identical halves, no debris, no random scatter, just a smooth, deliberate separation that no natural object could ever achieve. When I first got the call from my colleagues at NASA, I honestly thought it was a prank. But then the data came in, from Chile, from Hawaii, from the European Space Network. Every observatory reported the same thing. 3I Atlas divided, and then one half vanished, not drifted behind a planet, not hidden by the sun's glare. Gone, wiped off every radar, telescope, and deep space scanner we have. And here's what's terrifying. We can track objects the size of a basketball from thousands of miles away. We can detect galaxies that are over 13 billion years old. But somehow, we've lost something the size of a mountain. So ask yourself, what kind of force or what kind of technology could erase a massive interstellar body from existence? Something that can split itself with precision and then cloak half of its own mass. That's not random. That's not chaos. That's intentional. And that's what keeps scientists awake right now. Just 48 hours before it split, 3I Atlas was behaving normally. A predictable orbit, slow and steady, nothing alarming. Then, without any warning, it began to accelerate. Not slightly, not by chance. Its speed jumped by percentages that shattered every equation we know. But there was no sign of propulsion, no gas jets, no solar push, no heat signature. It was as if the object was deciding to move faster, powered by something invisible. Now comets and asteroids obey gravity. They move predictably. As they drift away from the sun, they slow down. But 3I Atlas did the opposite. It sped up. Harvard's astrophysics team ran simulation after simulation. They checked for gravitational slingshots, for hidden planetary interactions, for possible gas ejections. Every theory failed. There was no natural cause. And then, things got even stranger. 36 hours before the split, every major observatory monitoring the object detected a signal, a rhythmic pulsing from its core, not random bursts, not background radiation. This was a perfect pattern, one pulse every 11 minutes timed with nanosecond accuracy. You see, nature doesn't do perfect. Even neutron stars and pulsars, the universe's most consistent timekeepers, show slight variation. But this was flawless, like the heartbeat of a machine. At that moment, the entire debate shifted. Was this an unknown cosmic phenomenon, or was it something constructed? Because if those pulses were intentional, if the acceleration was controlled, then 3I Atlas wasn't just visiting our solar system, it was announcing itself. Then came the transformation. 18 hours before the split, the object began to change shape. At first, a faint distortion, a wobble in its light curve. Then, over the next 2 hours, it reshaped itself from a roughly spherical body into a long, symmetrical cylinder. 2 hours. That's all it took for a structure thousands of feet across to completely reform its geometry. No rock, no ice, no metal we know of could survive that transformation. But 3I Atlas didn't shatter. It didn't melt. It adapted. Telescopes from Chile to Japan confirmed identical readings. The shift was deliberate, like it was preparing for something, a maneuver, an operation, or maybe even a separation sequence. I remember staring at the telemetry data, watching its shape stretch in perfect proportion and thinking, this isn't an accident. This is a process. And then, almost like clockwork, the pulse stopped. 11-minute intervals, silent. Energy output, 0. Radiation, gone. It was as if the object had just powered down or entered a new phase of activity. For the next several hours, nothing. Just silence across the cosmos, but that stillness, that eerie calm, was only the moment before everything changed. Because 11 hours later, the universe would show us something that defied comprehension. 11 hours ago, the unthinkable happened. 3I Atlas, silent, stable, and eerily motionless, split apart. Not shattered, not fragmented, but divided along a perfect seam. Two halves, equal in size, separating in flawless symmetry. As if following an engineered blueprint. We named them Object A and Object B. At first, both halves drifted side by side, maintaining formation like synchronized spacecraft. Their movement was calm, controlled, predictable. But then everything changed. Object B suddenly changed direction instantly. Not a slow arc, not a curve. It veered perpendicular to its path, accelerated sharply, and then it was gone. Completely. Instantly. Gone. Every telescope across Earth, from NASA's Deep Space Network to the European Space Agency, lost visual. Infrared, gone. Radar, gone. Even gravitational readings vanished as if it had been erased from existence itself. Now let me put that in perspective. We have instruments capable of detecting the faintest gravitational ripple from a black hole billions of light years away. Yet this massive object, miles across, vanished in front of us, leaving behind no light, no energy trace, no gravitational shadow. That doesn't happen naturally. It happens deliberately. And that's when scientists across the world began whispering what no one wanted to say out loud. Object B didn't just disappear, it cloaked itself, whether through advanced light manipulation, gravitational bending, or something even beyond our dimension. We had to face a terrifying possibility. We were no longer watching it. It was watching us. 4 hours after the split, while observatories scrambled to relocate the missing half, a new anomaly appeared. Not from the vanished fragment, but from the one that stayed behind. Object A, still visible, began to emit a faint hum across the radio spectrum. At first it was dismissed as static, but when the Arecibo Observatory cleaned the signal, something emerged that froze everyone in the control room. It wasn't noise, it was structured communication, a repeating sequence of tones rising and falling with mathematical precision. Ratios perfectly matching prime numbers, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, over and over. Now here's where your jaw should drop. Those same prime number sequences are what humanity used in our own messages to contact potential extraterrestrial civilizations, like the Voyager Golden Record. Except this time, we weren't the ones sending it. For 31 minutes, the signal continued, steady, deliberate, pulsing like clockwork. Every observatory aimed at 3I Atlas received it, but only those pointed directly at Object A. No other part of the sky carried the signal. It was as if Object A was directing the message to one specific place. And then the most chilling realization hit. It wasn't broadcasting outward, it was broadcasting inward. Toward the exact coordinates where Object B had vanished. Almost like a call, a command, a reconnection signal, as if one half was trying to wake up the other. Then, precisely on the final pulse, the transmission stopped. Total silence. But silence didn't mean safety. Because just minutes later, deep space sensors picked up something new, a faint gravitational ripple, subtle but unmistakable. Coming from a point 2 astronomical units closer to Earth, whatever disappeared didn't vanish. It moved, and it was heading toward us. By the time the data stabilized, one fact became undeniable. The missing half of 3I Atlas was no longer lost. It was on a controlled trajectory, and that trajectory led straight toward Earth. At first, NASA assured the public there was no danger, just a routine pass. But the calculations kept changing. Every hour, the object's path adjusted, closer, faster, smarter. Its course corrections were too precise to be random. Every vector shift matched exact orbital dynamics, like it was actively navigating. Officially, NASA called it a non-gravitational anomaly. Unofficially, private communications between NASA, the European Space Network, and Harvard's Astrophysics Division revealed the truth. Someone, or something, was piloting it. Then came the first images. Using adaptive optics and the James Webb Space Telescope, researchers captured a faint reflection off Object B's surface. It wasn't rocky, it wasn't icy, it was metallic. Smooth as glass, symmetrical, flawless, no craters, no ridges, no natural features at all. Whatever this was, it wasn't made by nature. And then, it slowed down. Let that sink in. A body traveling millions of miles per hour began to decelerate, smoothly, precisely, and deliberately, right as it entered Jupiter's orbit. There's only one way something in space does that. With propulsion. With control. From that moment, the tone across every major space agency changed. Meetings went off the record, data streams went dark. The public updates stopped. The last official message came from NASA's Deep Space Network, a coded alert intercepted by amateur radio astronomers. Object B holding position. No further movement detected. Awaiting instruction. Instruction from whom? For nearly 6 hours, Object B stayed completely still near Jupiter's orbit. No light, no emissions, no radiation, just silence. An entire solar system holding its breath. Then at exactly 300 hours UTC, everything changed again. Every major radio telescope on Earth, from Chile's Atacama Array to the Very Large Array in New Mexico, detected a massive electromagnetic surge. It wasn't random. It wasn't noise. It was directed, perfectly synchronized with Object B's position. Within seconds, the object came alive, pulses of energy radiating across multiple frequencies, microwave, gamma, X-ray, all interwoven into a structured waveform. At first glance, it looked chaotic, but when decoded into a spectrograph, the pattern wasn't random. It was symmetrical, engineered, and what it revealed sent a chill through every control room on Earth. The waveform contained repeating visual structures like schematics, blueprints, instructions, but instructions for what? And even more unsettling, where were those signals going? They weren't being sent outward, Demona, they were being aimed at Earth. Within minutes of that first transmission, multiple orbiting satellites went offline, communication networks flickered, weather systems glitched. Even some defense satellites entered emergency shutdowns. At first, the public explanation blamed a solar flare, but the timing was too precise. Each satellite failure matched perfectly with the arrival of each electromagnetic pulse. It was no longer just a transmission, it was activation. Something out there wasn't just sending data, it was triggering something already here. And as NASA scrambled to secure its systems and pull data offline, a few independent astronomers managed to capture one last terrifying detail before their access was cut. Object A, the half that remained near its original position, had begun to glow. A steady pulsing light, deep and rhythmic, coming from beneath its surface. And its pulse matched perfectly with Object B's transmission. Two halves, one sending, one receiving, and together they had just begun to wake up. Over the last 12 hours, something extraordinary and deeply unsettling has been unfolding across our solar system. Both halves of 3I Atlas, Object A and Object B, have begun to move again, not drifting randomly like debris, but synchronized, every motion deliberate, every rotation measured. Object A, still beyond Mars, is rotating slowly, glowing brighter with each cycle. Object B, stationed near Jupiter, mirrors that movement perfectly. Every rotation, every axis shift, down to the millisecond. It's like two halves of a single being are communicating, aligning for a purpose. At first, scientists thought it was coincidence. But when they projected both rotational axes forward, the convergence point didn't lead into deep space or toward the sun. It pointed directly toward Earth. And that's when the panic began. Private networks lit up with encrypted chatter from observatories. Leaked transmissions from the European Space Agency described a shared magnetic resonance field forming between the two fragments. In simple terms, both halves were creating a massive electromagnetic bridge across space. And then came a far more chilling discovery. The energy signature they were producing was eerily similar to what scientists had only theorized could exist inside particle accelerators, except this time on a planetary scale. In other words, the two fragments of 3I Atlas weren't just aligning, they were building something. Then, as the alignment tightened, something strange began happening here on Earth. Our planet's own magnetic field, usually steady and predictable, started to fluctuate. Tiny changes at first, almost undetectable. Compass needles wavered by fractions of a degree. GPS accuracy drifted. Migratory birds changed direction mid-flight, confused and disoriented. Even power grids in certain regions began to experience subtle, rhythmic surges, all of it happening in perfect synchronization with the rotation cycle of Object A and Object B. It was as if something vast, something invisible, had brushed against the edge of Earth's magnetic skin. A ripple, a whisper from the void. And those who understood the data realized this wasn't a coincidence. This was interaction. Inside NASA's Deep Space Command, monitors began registering faint bursts of radio noise every time the two fragments aligned on the same plane. The pattern resembled a countdown sequence, intervals tightening, pulses shortening, energy intensifying. The more synchronized the halves became, the stronger the pulse that reached Earth. Then came an observation from a small observatory in Australia, a chilling discovery buried in the data. Each pulse wasn't random static. It carried structure. Hidden inside the radio frequencies was information. When decoded into a digital spectrogram, it revealed something impossible. A three-dimensional pattern resembling our solar system. Except one detail was wrong. The orbits of the planets weren't as they are today. They were shifted. All of them. Aligning to a single point. Earth. At that moment, it stopped being a mystery. It became a message. As hours passed, the glow from Object A intensified. Its surface rippled with energy signatures never seen before, frequencies spanning every known electromagnetic band. At the same time, Object B began releasing small bursts of plasma, forming geometric trails that looped outward like a living web. Telescopes captured both halves working in harmony, exchanging energy back and forth. It was no longer random movement, it was coordination, a system awakening, and every scientist watching it knew the universe was no longer silent. Then it happened. At precisely 22:11 UTC, both halves reached perfect alignment. The signals merged into one overwhelming frequency. Across Earth, radio telescopes screamed with interference. Communication systems failed. Air traffic controllers reported compass blackouts. Power stations flickered. And for 7 seconds, every magnetometer on Earth went haywire. During those 7 seconds, satellites captured a blinding energy surge between Object A and Object B, forming what looked like a bridge of light. It wasn't a beam, and it wasn't radiation. It was structured like latticework, an electromagnetic tunnel connecting the two halves across millions of miles. And at the center of that bridge was something new. A third signal, a presence neither from A nor B, something else. When the surge ended, all systems returned to normal, but the bridge remained faintly visible, pulsing, stable. And within it, deep space arrays detected an object forming, small at first, then rapidly growing in size. Scientists believe the two halves of 3I Atlas were constructing something between them, something born from both. A vessel, a transmitter, a new entity entirely? No one knows, but here's what we do know. Just after the bridge stabilized, the James Webb Space Telescope caught a final reflection, an image so haunting it sent shockwaves through the scientific community. There was movement inside the bridge, multiple objects, perfectly symmetrical, drifting within the lattice of light, and one of them, was emitting a signal identical to the ones we once sent into space decades ago. The Voyager Golden Record greeting. Except now the message was reversed. Instead of "Hello from the children of planet Earth," it said, "We heard you." Within hours, NASA classified all related data. Observatories were ordered to shut down their live feeds. Public access to the Deep Space Network was revoked. But independent astronomers kept watching. And their last recorded observation showed something undeniable. The bridge is contracting. The two halves of 3I Atlas are drawing closer. The synchronization rate is increasing exponentially. And if the trajectory continues, both objects, and whatever they've created between them, will align directly with Earth's orbital path in less than 48 hours. No official statement, no press conference, just silence. And yet across encrypted channels, a single phrase keeps repeating from those who still have access to the classified data. Phase 2 has begun. Now think about that for a second. Two interstellar objects, precisely engineered, intelligent, synchronized, communicating through energy fields, bridging space, interacting with our planet's magnetic field, and sending us our own message back. If this isn't a comet, if this isn't natural, then the question haunting every scientist alive is simple. What if 3I Atlas isn't here by accident? What if it's been here before? And what if, this time, it's not just passing through, it's returning? This is just the beginning of what could be the most extraordinary moment in human history, or the most terrifying. Because whatever those signals mean, whatever that bridge is forming, and whatever is moving within it, one thing is certain. It knows we're watching. And maybe that's exactly what it wanted. Don't stop here. The universe has only just started revealing its secrets. Click the next video, because what we've uncovered about 3I Atlas's true origin will completely rewrite everything we thought we knew about